everyone, welcome back to my Earth Friendly Kitchen. I'm Maria, your host, and today we are doing a sushi bake. We're going to be doing salmon and shrimp. It's going to be super delicious, very quick, lot of very minimal ingredients, but they're really fresh. And I just love this dinner on like a Friday night. Just put it together. It's almost like you're going out for sushi, but in your home, and it's not like in rolls. It's kind of cool because you get to make individual portions. So we're going to start this off by cooking the fish first. So we're going to be doing shrimp. I have about half a pound to 3/4 pounds of large shrimp here, and I'm just going to add a little bit of olive oil, about a teaspoon or so, maybe 2 teaspoons, and about a teaspoon of soy sauce, a couple of dashes of sesame oil, because this goes a long way, and half of a lemon. I'm going to squeeze all that juice. Now, the lemon itself is going to give it that added kind of brightness. It's also going to start the cooking process a little bit, right? Because the acid into the fish really helps to start really breaking down the proteins. And kind of like if we just did the lemon or just did citrus, it would be like a ceviche or something like that, right? So I'm just going to give this a nice toss. And then just a little bit of black pepper. Probably about a 1/4 teaspoon to 1/2 teaspoon. And then another like little spritz of salt. You don't want to put too much extra salt because you already have the soy sauce in there. But it does need a little bit extra. Okay? So that's my shrimp. So I'm just going to put these in a single layer into the pan here. And because it has the oil already like coating the shrimp, I don't need to add any like extra oil to my pan. So it's going to be good. So you just want to make sure they're in a nice single layer with a little bit of room to cook evenly while they're in the oven. And then I'm just going to take that same marinade, leave it in there, and I'm going to add my salmon to this. So these are my frozen fillets that I get individually packed. And you know, they come, it's a nice sustainable option because they go in the freezer. And I like them, I wish that they didn't have all the plastic. I wish there was a better way that they could, figure out how to freeze the items. But sometimes, we do our best, right? And that's it. I'm just going to coat the salmon in the same marinade. I'm just going to make sure that it gets all nice and dredged in there. And in that way. Okay. Alright, so I'm just going to put that just like that. Okay? And that's it for this part. We're just going to toss this into the oven. Now I'm preheating my oven to 400 degrees. So it's still preheating right now. So we're going to bring this over and I'm going to start the rice and the sushi soup. Come on over. Alright. So for the sushi rice, you want to make sure you get a sushi rice, in which, sushi rice, you don't have to get something that specifically says sushi on it, but you want to stick to a short grain rice, the most a medium grain rice, because it just doesn't do, you're not going to get that sushi bite of rice if you do long grain, okay? So we're going to do 2 cups of water and 1 cup of sushi rice. Now this is to the package directions, okay? So you just want to follow the package when you do rice. Sometimes I'll put this in a rice cooker as well, and it's the same ratio, and I'll just let it go, and then it tells me when it's done. But today we're going to cook it on the stovetop because most people don't have rice cookers, and that's okay. We're just going to cook it on the stovetop. So we're going to bring this up to a boil, and then once it's boiling, we're going to turn it down to a simmer, cover it, and let it cook. And that's going to take about 15 to 20 minutes. Okay, so that's that. Now the sushi stew, we're going to take rice vinegar, and it should be rice vinegar, should be unseasoned rice vinegar. Now we are going to season it, and that's pretty much what a sushi stew is seasoned rice vinegar. And that's what makes the sushi rice, as opposed to just like plain white rice or other types of rice. And so the sushi stew is very important. And you have to get the ratios pretty right. Now, I've been making my own for some time now. We make a lot of sushi in our household. Pretty much every weekend we're doing some type of version of sushi. And so we make a lot of this. So this isn't going to be everything we use today. This is just the ratio that I use. And then it stays in the fridge and you can just keep it there until you run out. But you're not going to use all of this sushi stew for this dish. This is just going to be something that is the easiest kind of preparation so that you get the ratio right. So we're going to do 1 cup. Oh, see, we're preheated. We're ready. 1 cup of the sushi stew. And we're going to do about a tablespoon of salt for that. And then we're going to do a 1/4 cup of sugar. Don't look at my junk drawer, guys. I'm just kidding. It's not a junk drawer. It's all, you know, it's that drawer that has all of your little tiny kitchen gadgets and utensils. I'm sure everybody has one. Mine's just bigger than most. And then a 1/4 cup of sugar. So a 1/4 cup of sugar, a tablespoon of sea salt or kosher salt, and a cup of your sushi of your rice vinegar is going to be your sushi stew. Now we're just going to let this dissolve, and we're going to cook this on like a low to medium heat because you're not trying to like cook it. You're just trying to get it to where everything blends together. And it's only going to take about 5 to 10 minutes, and then I'm going to turn off the heat so that it cools down in time for when our rice is done. Okay? And that's it. We're going to add our salmon in, and we're going to let these guys cook probably about 15-20 minutes while the rice is cooking. And then when we come back, we're going to put it all together. We'll show you how it's done. See you in a bit. Bye. So our sushi rice has finished cooking, our salmon and shrimp are ready, and we're ready to just start really putting it all together. So we are going to add our sushi stew to the rice. So you can see that the 1 cup of rice made about 2.5 cups of cooked rice, okay? And that's what you're looking for, nice and fluffy. And then we're only going to put in about a 1/4 cup of the sushi stew. Maybe a 1/3 of a cup, okay? And that's it. I've already cooled this down. This is nice and cool. And then now I can put this in the refrigerator. And it's going to stay in your refrigerator for weeks. I mean, weeks, if not a couple of months if you don't use it that often. It's just vinegar, right? I mean, vinegar is sustainable. It's shelf stable. You probably don't even necessarily need to put it in the refrigerator. I do it just to give it an added layer of, you know, protection. Because it has the sugar in it. And, you know, bacteria love sugar. So I just, you know, out of an abundance of caution, I put it in the fridge. So you just want to mix that all in together, and your rice isn't going to taste like vinegar. Like, don't worry too much about that. Like, yes, it's seasoned vinegar, but it's not going to taste like it. It's just going to be, you know, giving it that kind of stickiness that sushi rice has that you really want. So I'm just going to spray a 19 by 13 dish. You can use, you know, clear. Oh, there's a lot of spray here. What's going on? It's at the end of the can, which is, you know, why it does that. And then I'm going to put half of my sushi rice into the bottom. And I'm just going to kind of spread it out. Make it nice, even layer here. And if it doesn't fit the whole bottom of your pan, that's okay. You know, I just like to make a thin layer because it's a layered dish and it's going to like kind of stack up on itself. So we're going to do that layer like that. Then we're going to add a sheet of nori, which is the seaweed wraps for the sushi when you make it yourself. Now usually we get about 1 and like a little bit more of another that we'll cut it in half. Or actually more like a 1/3. Don't worry, I'm going to use these wraps when I make sushi later on. Or another day, or sometimes I just like cutting them into, and I make rice wraps like during the week, just like super quick. Okay, we'll do that. And then like that, perfect. Just over the rice, okay? And then we're going to do the rest of the rice on top and even it out again, just like we did the first time. And I'm using this special kind of spatula. So this spatula is actually designed to be used with sushi rice because it's sticky. There's a special coating on the spatula. It looks very basic, right? Just like plastic, but it has like a special coating on it that helps it slide over the rice. Really nice and smooth. So this is going to help when you're making any kind of like sushi roll and trying to make a nice even layer. Okay, so just like that. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? You can just, however it goes on, it goes on. All right, so that's that. Have my little warmer here. Then I'm going to sprinkle on top of the rice layer something called furikake. Okay, furikake, I might be butchering that name. If somebody has a better way of saying it, I believe that's how you say it, furikake. It's a seasoning made typically from for seafood, for sushi rice itself. You can get it in your Asian markets. Typically they have them in abundance. This one is specifically designed for seafood, so I like using it in this sushi bake, but you can find, you know, basic ones too for other things. Now you're not going to use the whole packet. I'm just going to be probably about 2 teaspoons to kind of cover everything up, and then I'll save this for the rest. But the package looks like this. This is called furikake. So, and it comes with like 3 of them in there, and they're they're sustainable, they're shelf stable, so you don't have to worry about that. Now on top of that, we're going to add our fish. So we're going to start with our salmon, and we're just going to flake this up in the bowl. Just kind of break it up. Probably use a spoon as well. We'll break this up in here. Use what I got, right? I'm not going to dirty another dish. Oh, I guess I'm going into the whisk. That's my fault. Maybe I should use another fork. 1 second. I keep stabbing the whisk. And it's stabbing into the whisk and making it pull apart. Alright, so we're just going to flake this apart. And then we're going to chop up the shrimp and we're going to add it to the salmon. There we go. Okay, perfect. Just like that. Alright. And then we're going to chop up the shrimp. And these are also a little bit cool now. And you see that nice dark deep color they have from the seasoning. You have it from the soy sauce, that richness that it provides. Okay, and you just want to run your knife, just kind of small bites because you want it to spread out over your rice here. Alright, just going to chop these up. Now this you can do with imitation crab, you can do it with lobster, you can do it with, you know, pretty much any seafood you love, but that would be kind of, you could do a tuna that you would really love with, you know, sushi. I mean, I've done it even with canned tuna and canned salmon before, you know, blended them together and it's come out really delish. You know, again, it's a low cost, low budget option, you know, although, you know, like I said, the shrimp itself is usually not that expensive when you get it in bulk and you freeze it. Again, another sustainable way of doing that. Okay. So we're just going to add all of this into our bowl. Alright. And we're going to spritz another little bit, that other half a lemon we had from earlier. We're going to put that right in there as well. Give this another nice stir. And we're just going to pour it all on top. Okay, like that. Okay. So you want to cover all your rice up. Just like that. Okay, beautiful. Alright, that guy almost missed out on the party. Alright, and then they say it's a sushi bake, and you really don't have to cook this for much longer, but I have left because everything's cooked, right? Everything's already cooked. But what you want to try to do is crisp up the bottom of the rice just a little bit. So I've left the oven at 400 degrees since I cooked the fish, but I'm actually going to put it in the oven and turn it off. And that's just going to give it a little bit of crispiness as the oven cools down. It's not going to overcook your fish. So give me 1 second. Pop this back in. Turn this off. Okay. Now we're going to set up the rest to top all of our toppings to go with our bake. So we're going to start with some cucumber, and we're just going to dice it up to sprinkle on top. It's almost like a poke bowl, you know, but you cook a lot of it more than the rice, because poke bowls generally have the raw fish, right? And so it's almost like a cooked poke bowl is the way I kind of look at this sushi bake, you know, which I love. My daughter actually really enjoys this dish too. She's, of course, I have to convince her still to eat with a fork, not with her hands, because otherwise there's little pieces of rice just everywhere, all over the house. We'd wind up finding them for weeks on end. But I guess that's life with a toddler. Probably life with kids in general, I would assume. I don't know when that's going to end, but I assume, you know, teenagers are pretty messy. I remember myself as a teenager long ago. You know, I was a pretty messy kid. So, I'm still a little messy, you know. I mean, you guys have seen me, you know, I'm just saying. But in general, I try to keep it neat as an adult. Okay, so we're just going to dice it up. So we're going to sprinkle on top. It's okay if a little skin gets on there. You can leave the skin on there completely. It's just that I know some people don't like it, and I don't know. To me, it eats a little bit better because you normally wouldn't have skin in a sushi roll, for instance. So I'm just going to put that to the side. So that's that. Okay. And then we're going to slice up some scallions, again as garnish. Some green onions, scallions. I wonder how many people like found green onions. That's why they have so many names. Green onions, scallions. I mean, chives are obviously a different brand, but some people confuse chives with green onions. But chives is actually in the herb family. Fun fact. Even though they look similar, they're just smaller, right, chives? So I'm going to chop up some green onion, and we're going to do an avocado as well. So one of the ways you can tell, I know some people are always like, how do I know if the avocado's ripe or not? Is this little tip here that goes usually to the tree, right, to the twig that it comes off. If you pop it off very easily, which I just did already, and you see that the inside is green. Do you see the inside is green? If it's brown, it's already overdone. If it's white, it's not ripe yet. Also, you won't be able to pop it off very easily if it's not quite ripe yet. So, more than just squeezing every avocado in the store, it's a nice way to be able to do that. Okay? And then we're going to, oh, I should probably get a spoon here. Spoon, spoon, spoon. All right. Easiest way to get an avocado out, obviously. Just scrape just like that. Inside. Perfect. Same thing with your pit. Now be careful, obviously, with this. I like to go to the short fat side, across, perpendicular, slice down, twist. Very easy. And then it comes off your knife. Now you could try to plant an avocado seed into your backyard if you wanted to, if you have the climate for it, right? Which north we don't. But you would need two, because avocado trees won't fruit without a partner. So you need to have two avocado trees for you to actually get avocados. And you also should make that a generational tree, because the likelihood of you seeing avocados from that planting is very, very low. It takes years to grow avocado trees and get them established. So unless you have one that's already, you know, having started growing, like, you know, you can purchase a tree that's already in process of growing. But growing your own avocado tree from seed, it's a valiant effort, I should say, for the next generation, if you want to give that to your children. So a little fun fact, I didn't realize you needed two avocado for that, because I thought at one time that I was going to grow avocados, and I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome, and then, yeah, turns out it's not going to be awesome. Not for me anyways, if I tried. So maybe for my daughter, if she wanted to grow avocado trees. So anyways, so that's it. That's just going to cover our top of our bake. And I'm actually going to pull that out now, because like I said, I didn't want it to cook because everything is already cooked and I don't want it to be overdone. But I do want the bottom to be a little bit more crispy. So I'm going to go grab that now. Drop this in here. Okay. All right. Perfect. Okay. So now we are going to sprinkle our avocado. Actually, we're going to do our avocado first. That's the thing to do. I'm just going to sprinkle it all over. Like I said, this is going to be a fairly rustic looking, but when you cut into it, it looks so nice. This is going to serve about 6 servings for everything all together. So, you know, when you do the cost breakdown, give or take, probably about $5 to $6 a serving, which is generally a little bit more expensive than what kind of a typical meal that I would make is. However, $5 to $6. There's a lot happening over here, guys. $5 to $6 for, you know, per person for a sushi bake. If you go to a sushi restaurant, you're looking at $20, $30 per person usually. And then I'm just going to sprinkle the cucumber as well on top. So I think, you know, obviously at home is always more cost effective, but even the more expensive meals that you make are more cost effective, you know? So there's that. And then we're also going to make a little bit of spicy mayo. You know how we love spicy mayo around here. So we're going to do about a 1/4 cup if it wants to come out. I have more mayonnaise in there, guys. Listen, what did we talk about this? We talked about how do I get the mayonnaise out of the jar easier when it's towards the bottom, because there's so much left in here. It just doesn't want to come out. You know, like the Heinz 57 bottles where you like hit the side. Is that it? Oh, that works. Hitting the side, not the bottom. I guess there's a trick to that. All right. 1/4 cup of mayonnaise. And then we're going to do about 2 tablespoons of sriracha. And this is obviously what makes it spicy. And we're going to add a little bit more of that sesame oil, kind of to mimic what we put onto the fish. A couple of dabs there. About 2 teaspoons of soy sauce. Okay. I'm going to give that a blend. You could add pretty much whatever sauce on top. You don't have to make it spicy. You could do just like a eel sauce on top if you wanted to, or just a regular mayonnaise, you know, like a Japanese mayo, you know, would be really good too. You could do. But we like the spicy mayo here, so you just drizzle that right on top like that. I'm trying to cover all the pieces. Even my daughter likes it, although she tends to drink a little bit more milk even after with the spicy mayo. Okay. And then we're going to sprinkle our scallions, green onions, whatever you choose to call them in your part of the woods. And then we're going to sprinkle some sesame seeds to finish it off on top. And there you have it. Your sushi bake with salmon and shrimp with spicy mayo on top. Super delicious, super hearty. The rice is going to be nice and creamy from that sushi stew that you have. And when you cut into this, you know, you'll just get a piece of the nori as well. So you try to get a piece of the seafood, piece of the cucumber, the avocado. It's like you're going out to a Japanese restaurant. Oh my gosh. Guys, we love this at home. I hope you're trying to make it at home as well. It's so delicious. It really is like you're going out to eat and having sushi, but, you know, with pretty minimal ingredients. You know, just freshness on top, You can do it just salmon, you can do it just shrimp, you can do it, again, crab meat, lobster, whatever you want to do, whatever is cost effective for your family. You'll feed about 6 people. You just divide it into 6 and across, and it's going to be really delicious. So I hope you try it out. If you want more recipes like this, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. And we'll see you later. Bye.